The entire army was gone. Only I confronted the alien queen in the end. Part 1. The Fall of the 7th Division. The ship shook hard. Kung Doyan grabbed the metal wall to stop himself from falling. Red lights flashed everywhere. Alarms screamed through the hallways. He could hear soldiers shouting, running, trying to find safety. But there was no safety. Not anymore. Doyan was a medic. He was 28 years old. From a small town near Busan. He had joined the army 5 years ago. It's not because he wanted to fight, but because his younger sister needed money for school. The military paid well. It was a simple choice. He never thought he would see real war, but war had found him. Through the small window of the transport ship, he watched the orbital station Sajong break apart. Fire and metal scattered across the black sky. Thousands of people were on that station. Now they were gone. Just like that, in seconds, the enemy had come from the darkness between stars. Humanity called them the Veth. They were not like anything humans had seen before. They had hard shells like insects. They had many legs and sharp claws. They moved fast, killed faster, and they were controlled by one mind, one queen. She commanded all of them like a person commands their own hand. All units prepare for landing, a voice said through the speakers. We reach the surface in 10 minutes. Doyun checked his medical bag. Bandages, medicine, syringes, tools for surgery. He had everything he needed to save lives. He just hoped he would have the chance to use them. Captain Park Yuna walked through the transport ship. She was a tall woman with short black hair and tired eyes. She had fought in the Mars uprising 10 years ago. She had seen death before. But even she looked worried now. Listen to me, she said to the soldiers. Her voice was calm, but strong. We are going down to the moon of Keras 4. Our mission is to establish a defensive position. Hold the ground. Wait for backup. Simple. Nobody believed it would be simple. Beside Doyan sat his best friend, Sergeant Han Giwan. Giwan was a demolitions expert. He knew how to blow things up better than anyone in the division. He was also the kind of person who smiled even when things were bad. Hey medic, Giwan said. You look scared. I am scared, Doyan replied honestly. Good fear keeps you alive. Giwan patted his shoulder. Just stay behind me. I will clear the path. You patch up anyone who falls. On the other side of the ship sat Private Lee Somi. She was young, maybe 22. This was her first real mission. She was a communications officer. Her job was to keep contact with the fleet. Her hands were shaking as she held her equipment. Doyan walked over to her. First time? Somi nodded. She did not speak. Her face was pale. It is okay to be afraid, he said. Just focus on your job. Do what you're trained to do. Everything else will follow. Somi looked at him. Have you done this before? Combat, I mean. Small fights. Nothing like this. He tried to smile. But we will get through it. Together. The ship hit the atmosphere. Everything shook again. Through the windows, they could see the surface of Keras 4 coming closer. It was a cold world. Ice covered most of the ground. Mountains of frozen rock stood in the distance. The sky was gray and empty. 40,000 soldiers landed that day. The entire 7th Expeditionary Division. They set up camps. They built walls. They prepared weapons. Everyone worked fast because everyone knew the enemy was coming. Doyan set up his medical tent near the center of the camp. Other medics joined him. They organized supplies and prepared for the wounded that would surely come. The first night was quiet, too quiet. Soldiers stood guard, watching the frozen plains. Nothing moved. Nothing made a sound. But they could feel it. Something was out there, watching, waiting. Dawn came slowly. The gray sky turned a little lighter. Soldiers ate their breakfast quickly. Nobody talked much. The air felt heavy with fear. Then the ground started to shake. Contact. Someone screamed. They are coming from below. The ice cracked open. Holes appeared everywhere across the plain. And from those holes, the Veth came. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. They poured out of the ground like water from a broken dam. Their shells were black and shiny. Their eyes glowed red. They made terrible sounds, clicking and screaming. Soldiers opened fire. Lasers and bullets filled the air. Veth fell, but more kept coming. Always more. Doyan heard the first wounded soldier arrive at his tent. Then another. Then 10 more. Then he lost count. He worked without stopping. His hands moved fast. Cut here, stitch there. Stop the bleeding. Give medicine for pain. Next patient. Next. Next. Outside. The battle continued. Explosions shook the ground. He heard Guan's voice shouting orders. He heard Captain Yuna commanding her troops. He heard screams of pain and cries of fear. Hours passed. The sun moved across the sky. The Veth kept attacking. By the time darkness came again, the 7th Division had lost 12,000 soldiers. 12,000 people. Gone. Doyan sat outside his tent, covered in blood that was not his own. His hands finally stopped moving. He looked at the stars above. Somewhere out there was Earth. His sister was there, probably sleeping peacefully, not knowing what was happening. Captain Yuna found him there. She sat beside him. Her armor was damaged. Her face had a long cut across her cheek. "You saved many lives today," she said. "Not enough," Doyan replied. "It is never enough. But you did your job. That is all anyone can ask." They sat in silence for a moment. In the distance, they could hear Veth sounds. The enemy was regrouping. Tomorrow, they would attack again. "We lost contact with Fleet Command," Yuna said quietly. "We do not know if help is coming." Doyan looked at her. "What do we do?" "We survive. We fight. We hold this position until someone comes for us." She stood up. "Get some rest, medic. Tomorrow will be worse." She walked away into the darkness. Doyan did not sleep that night. He kept thinking about all the faces he had seen. The soldiers he had saved. The soldiers he had lost. He thought about his sister. About home. About whether he would ever see them again. When morning came, he stood up. He checked his medical bag. He put on his armor. And he prepared to do it all again. Because that was all he could do. Keep going. Keep fighting. Keep saving lives. One at a time. The war had just begun. The entire army was gone. Only I confronted the alien queen in the end. Part 2. The Long Retreat 3. Weeks had passed since the first battle. 3 weeks of blood, death, and endless fighting. The 7th Division was no longer a proud army. It was a group of tired, broken soldiers trying to stay alive. Captain Yuna gave the order to retreat. They could not hold their position anymore. Too many soldiers were dead. Too little ammunition remained. The only choice was to move toward Hope's Ridge, a tall plateau 200 kilometers away. Maybe they could defend it. Maybe rescue would come. Maybe Duhayan walked with the column of soldiers. 8,000 remained from the original 40,000. 8,000 out of 40,000. He tried not to think about those numbers. He tried to focus on walking, on breathing, on living. The frozen land stretched endlessly before them. Ice crunched under their boots. The wind cut through their armor like knives. Some soldiers had lost their helmets. Their faces were red from cold. Their eyes were empty from exhaustion. G1 walked beside him. The demolitions expert had not smiled in days. His bag was full of explosives, but they were running low. Every bomb he used meant one less for later. "How far?" G1 asked. "Another 10 days if we keep this pace," Doyan answered. "Maybe 12. We do not have 12 days of food, I know." Behind them, in the distance, they could hear the Veth. The creatures did not attack in full force anymore. They followed instead, watching, waiting. Sometimes they rushed forward and took soldiers from the back of the column. Quick attacks, gone before anyone could react. Every morning, the column was smaller. Captain Yuna led from the front. She never showed weakness. She never showed fear. But Doyan saw her late at night, when she thought nobody was looking. He saw her crying. He saw her praying. She was human, like all of them. On the 5th day of the retreat, Doya noticed something strange. He was treating a soldier who had been stung by a Veth, but survived. The soldier should have died. Veth stings were usually fatal, but this man was alive. "Tell me what happened," Doyen said. "I was stung last week," the soldier explained. "I got sick, very sick, but I survived. Then yesterday, another one stung me, and nothing happened. I felt nothing." Doyen thought about this. He examined the sting marks carefully. Something in the soldier's blood had changed. His body had learned to fight the venom. Immunity. The soldier had developed immunity that night. Doyen took blood samples from every soldier who had survived a Veth sting. He worked by flashlight in a small tent. He had basic equipment, nothing fancy, but he was curious. If he could understand how immunity worked, maybe he could use it. Private Somi found him there. She looked thinner than before. The retreat was hard on everyone, but especially on the young ones. "What are you doing?" she asked. Research Doyen said. "I think I found something important. Can it help us?" "I do not know yet, but I have to try." Somi sat down beside him. "You never stop working, do you?" "Neither do you. I hear you trying to contact the fleet every night." She looked down. "Nobody answers." "I think the fleet is gone," Doyen did not reply. He knew she was probably right, but he would not say it out loud. Hope was all they had left. On the 8th day, the Veth attacked in force. It happened at sunset. The creatures came from all sides. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. The soldiers fought hard. Guns fired. Explosions lit up the sky. Bodies fell on both sides. Giwan was at the back of the column covering the retreat. He placed explosives in the path of the Veth. He detonated them at the perfect moment. Dozens of creatures died in fire and ice, but there were too many. Doyen saw it happen. A Veth broke through the line. It rushed towards Somi, who was trying to protect her communication equipment. Jiwan saw it too. He ran. He threw himself between Somi and the creature. The Veth claws cut deep into Giwan's side. Doyen screamed. He ran to his friend. Other soldiers killed the Veth, but the damage was done. Jiwan lay on the frozen ground, blood pouring from his wounds. "Get him inside!" Doyen yelled. "Now!" They carried Giwan to a bombed-out bunker nearby. The battle continued outside. Doyen ignored it. He focused only on his friend. The wounds were terrible. Internal bleeding, broken ribs, damaged organs. Any normal doctor would give up. But Doyen was not normal. He was stubborn. He refused to let his friend die. He worked for 6 hours. His hands never shook. His mind never wavered. He cut. He stitched. He stopped bleeding. He fixed what was broken. He gave medicine for pain and infection. When he finally finished, Giwan was still breathing. Barely, but breathing. Suit in the corner of the bunker. Tears ran down her face. "He saved me," she said. "He saved my life," I know Doyen said. "Now we have to make sure it was worth it." Giwan woke up hours later. His eyes opened slowly. He looked around, confused. "Am I dead?" he whispered. Double quotes. "Not today," Doyen replied. "It hurts. It will hurt for a while, but you will live." Chuan tried to smile. It looked more like a grimace. "Why do you keep fighting? Why do you never give up?" Doyen thought about the question. He thought about his sister. About his home. About all the soldiers who depended on him. "Someone has to," he finally said. "Because if I give up, everyone gives up. And I cannot let that happen." Giwan closed his eyes. "You are a good man, Doyen. Better than you know. 3 more days of walking. 3 more days of cold and fear and death." But finally, Hope's Ridge appeared on the horizon. A tall plateau with steep walls on all sides, easy to defend, hard to attack. Captain Yuna stopped the column. She looked at the ridge with tired eyes. Then she turned to her soldiers. "We made it," she said. "Now we hold. No more running. No more retreating. We stand here and we fight. Help will come. Nobody cheered. Nobody had the energy, but they nodded. They understood. This was their last stand. Doyan looked at the ridge. Somewhere out there, the Veth Queen was watching. Somewhere out there, she was planning their deaths. But for now, they were alive. And that was enough. He helped carry Giwan up the steep path to the top of the ridge. Somi walked beside them, still shaken but determined. Captain Yuna led the way. 8,000 soldiers climbed Hope's Ridge that day. They did not know what would come next. They did not know if rescue would ever arrive. But they knew one thing. They would not give up. Not today. Not ever. The entire army was gone. Only I confronted the alien. Queen in the End, Part 3. The siege 2 months had passed on Hope's Ridge. 2 months of siege. 2 months of survival. The soldiers had built walls from frozen rocks. They had dug trenches into the ice. They had turned the plateau into a fortress. Every day, the Veth attacked. Every day, the soldiers pushed them back. And every day, fewer soldiers remained. 5,000 now. 5,000 from the original 40,000. Doyan was no longer just a medic. Captain Yuna had promoted him. He was now a captain too, in charge of all medical operations on the ridge. It was not a reward. It was a necessity. Too many officers had died. Someone had to lead. He woke before dawn every morning. He checked the wounded. He organized medicine supplies. He trained younger medics. He did surgery when needed. And at night, when everyone else slept, continued his research on Veth biology. The samples he had collected during the retreat were precious. He studied them carefully. He learned how the Veth body worked. He learned about their blood, their organs, their nervous system. And most importantly, he learned about their connection to the Queen. The Veth were not individuals. They were extensions of one mind. The Queen controlled them all. Every movement, every attack, every decision came from her. Kill 1,000 Veth, and 1,000 more would take their place. But kill the Queen, and the entire hive would collapse. It was like cutting the head off a snake. The body could not live without the head. Doyan shared this information with Captain Yuna. They sat in her command tent, a small space lit by a single lamp. Maps covered the walls. Red marks showed enemy positions. There were many red marks. "You are sure about this?" Yuna asked. "Kill the Queen and they all die." "Not die exactly," Doyan explained. "They will lose coordination. They will become confused, aimless, easy to destroy. But where is the Queen? She could be anywhere." That was the problem. Nobody knew where the Queen was hiding. The planet was large. The Veth tunnels went deep underground. Finding her was nearly impossible. Somi provided the answer. The young communications officer had not given up trying to contact the fleet. She spent every night listening to signals, hoping for rescue. But instead of human signals, she found something else. Veth signals. They communicate through some kind of wave, Somi explained. Like radio, but different. And all the signals go to one place, as she showed them on the map. A point 200 kilometers south of Hope's Ridge. Underground. The Queen is there, Doyan said. She has to be. All the signals lead to her. Captain Yuna stared at the map for a long time. Then she spoke. "We cannot send the entire army. We barely have enough to defend the ridge. But a small team might make it. Suicide mission," someone said. "No," Yuna replied. "A chance. Our only chance." That night, Captain Yuna called for volunteers. She needed 2,000 soldiers for a diversionary attack. They would assault a Veth position to the east, drawing the enemy away. Meanwhile, a small strike team would infiltrate the hive and kill the Queen. Hands rose everywhere. Every soldier volunteered. Nobody wanted to stay behind. Nobody wanted to hide while others fought. Yuna chose carefully. The strongest fighters for the diversion. The smartest and fastest for the strike team. Doyan approached her after the meeting. "I want to be on the strike team. You are a medic. Your place is here, treating the wounded. I am the only one who understands Veth biology. I know where to strike. I know their weaknesses. Without me, the team will fail. Yuna looked at him. Her eyes were hard, calculating. She knew he was right. She did not like it, but she knew. If you die, who will treat the wounded? I have trained others. They will manage. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Yuna nodded. You lead the strike team. 12 people. Choose them carefully. Doyen spent the next day selecting his team. He chose soldiers who were quiet, fast, and brave. Soldiers who could think clearly under pressure. Soldiers who understood that they might not come back. The night before the mission, Juan found him. Juan had recovered from his wounds, but he walked with a limp now. He could not fight on the front lines anymore. Instead, he helped manage the defenses and trained other demolitions experts. I heard you were going, Juan said. I am. You're crazy. You know that, right? Doyan smiled. It was a tired smile. Probably. Juan reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small metal lighter. It was old, dented, covered in scratches. But it still worked. Yuan flicked it, and a small flame appeared. This lighter has been with me through every battle, Mars. The outer colonies. Here, it always brings me luck. He pressed it into Doyan's hand. Take it, I cannot take your lucky lighter. You will, and you will bring it back to me. Understand? Doyan held the lighter. It was warm from Giwan's pocket. He closed his fingers around it. I will bring it back. You better. I want that lighter. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Jiwan pulled him into a hug. It hurt because of his healing ribs, but he did not care. Come back, Jiwan said. Just come back. I will try. Dawn came too quickly. The strike team gathered at the edge of the ridge. 12 soldiers, including Doyon. They wore light armor. They carried minimal weapons. Speed was more important than firepower. Captain Yuna stood before them. You know the mission. Get to the Queen. Kill her. Everything depends on you. She looked at each face. Then she saluted. The soldiers saluted back. In the distance, explosions began. The diversionary attack had started. Thousands of Veth would rush toward the noise, away from the strike team's path. Move out, Doyen said. They descended the ridge and disappeared into the frozen wasteland. Behind them, Hope's Ridge grew smaller. The sounds of battle faded. Ahead, only silence and darkness waited. Somewhere underground, the Queen was waiting too. Doyan touched the lighter in his pocket. He thought about Jiwan, about Somi, about Captain Yuna, about all the soldiers on the ridge, fighting and dying to give him this chance. He could not fail. He would not fail. The fate of 5,000 soldiers rested on his shoulders. The weight was heavy. But he kept walking, one step at a time, 1 kilometer at a time, toward the Queen, toward the end. Whatever that end would be, the entire army was gone. Only I confronted the alien Queen in the end. Part 4, Into the Hive. The tunnels were dark. Darker than anything Doyan had ever experienced. Even with lights on their helmets, they could barely see 10 meters ahead. The walls were wet and strange. Not made of rock or ice, but something organic. Something alive. They had found the entrance after walking for 18 hours. A hole in the ground, hidden beneath a collapsed building from some ancient civilization. The Veth had made it their home, their nest, their kingdom. 12 soldiers entered the tunnels. 12 humans stepping into the heart of the enemy. Doyan led the way. In his hand, he carried a small container of liquid, Veth pheromones. He had created it from his research. When sprayed on their armor, it made them smell like Veth. Not perfectly, but enough to confuse the creatures. Enough to buy time. Stay close, he whispered. Move slowly. No sudden movements. They walked in single file. The tunnel twisted and turned. Sometimes it went up. Sometimes it went down. They lost track of direction quickly. Only the signal tracker kept them moving toward the Queen. Above them, far away, the diversionary battle continued. Doyan could not hear it. He could only imagine it. Captain Yuna leading her soldiers. Giwan, manning the defenses. Somi, monitoring communications. They were all counting on him. An hour passed. Then 3, the first Veth appeared suddenly. It came around a corner, moving fast. Its red eyes glowed in the darkness. Its claws scraped against the tunnel floor. Everyone froze. The Veth stopped. It looked at them. Its head moved from side to side, smelling the air. Doyan did not breathe. His heart pounded so loud he thought the creature could hear it. Seconds passed. Eternal seconds. Then the Veth turned and walked away. It had not recognized them as enemies. Nobody spoke. They waited until the creature was gone. Then they continued moving. But they were not always so lucky. Deeper in the tunnels, they met a Veth patrol. 5 creatures, walking together. The pheromones did not fool them. Maybe they had worn off. Maybe these Veth were smarter than others. The battle was quick and brutal. Guns fired. Claws slashed. When it was over, 2 soldiers were dead. The Veth were destroyed, but the noise would attract more. Move fast, Doyan ordered. We cannot stop now. 10 soldiers continued. The tunnels became larger. The walls pulsed with strange light. They were getting closer to the center, closer to the queen. A trap caught them by surprise. A section of floor collapsed. 3 soldiers fell into a pit below. Doyan heard their screams, then silence. He looked down but saw only darkness. We cannot help them, someone said. We have to keep moving. 7 soldiers remained. The pressure in the tunnels grew stronger. It was not physical pressure. It was mental. Doyan felt something pushing against his mind. A voice, a presence. The queen was aware of them now. She was trying to break into their thoughts. One soldier stopped walking. His eyes went blank. He turned his gun toward his own head. Doyan grabbed his arm. Fight it. Do not let her in. But the soldier could not hear him. The queen's voice was louder, stronger. His finger moved toward the trigger. Another soldier hit him from behind. The gun fell. The controlled soldier collapsed unconscious. Leave him, someone said. He is lost. It left him in the tunnel. They had no choice. 6 soldiers continued. The tunnels opened into a larger chamber. Veth were everywhere. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, filling the walls and ceiling. Guarding the path ahead, there was no way to sneak past. We fight, Doyan said. Fast and hard. Do not stop moving. They charged. Guns blazed. Grenades exploded. Veth screamed and fell, but so did soldiers. One fell to claws, another to the creatures dropping from above, another to a sting that pierced his armor. Doyan kept running. He did not look back. He could not afford to. He reached the other side of the chamber. He turned to see who was still with him. 2 soldiers. Only 2 remained. Keep moving, Doyan said. His voice was steady, but inside he was breaking. 10 people had followed him. 8 were gone. The final tunnel was narrow. They had to crawl through some sections. The walls pressed against them. The air was thin and hot. It smelled of something strange and ancient. A Veth guardian waited at the end. It was larger than the others. A special protector for the queen. Its shell was thick. Its claws were longer. Its eyes burned with intelligent hatred. The first soldier attacked. He fought bravely. He managed to wound the creature, but then it grabbed him. It threw him against the wall. He did not get up. The second soldier screamed in rage. She emptied her entire weapon into the guardian. The creature staggered, fell, but its claw caught her as it died. They fell together. Doyan stood alone. He looked at his fallen teammates. Brave soldiers. Good people. They had trusted him. They had followed him into darkness. And now they were gone. But their sacrifice would not be wasted. He checked his equipment. His rifle was empty. His pistol had 3 shots. He had a combat knife, 3 grenades, and the contents of his medical bag and 1 syringe. The special one. The one he had prepared for the queen. During his research, Doyan had discovered something. The queen's brain, her neural cluster, was vulnerable to a specific compound. Human adrenaline, concentrated and modified, acted like poison to her system. One injection into the neural cluster would kill her. He had made that injection. He carried it with him. Now he just had to use it. He walked through the final passage. It opened into a massive chamber. The ceiling was so high he could not see it. The walls glowed with soft, pulsing light. The air vibrated with power. And there she was. The queen? She was enormous. 30 meters tall, maybe more. Her body was like a mountain of black shell and pulsing flesh. Her many legs dug into the ground. Her face, if it could be called a face, had dozens of red eyes that all looked at him. When she spoke, the words appeared directly in his mind. "You are the last one." Doyan did not answer. He just walked forward. "Your army is gone. Your friends are dead. You are alone." "I know," he said out loud. The queen laughed. It was a horrible sound, filling his skull, shaking his bones. "Why do you continue? You cannot win. You are nothing. Your species is nothing. You are insects pretending to be important." Doyan thought about his sister, her smile, her laugh, the way she hugged him when he came home. He thought about Ji-Wan and his lucky lighter, about Somi and her determination, about Captain Yuna and her strength, about all the soldiers who had died to bring him here. "You are wrong," he said. The queen's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "We are not nothing. We are human. And we do not know how to quit. We do not know how to surrender. We do not know how to give up. You can kill us. You can destroy our armies. You can burn our worlds. But as long as one of us remains standing, we will fight." The queen was silent for a moment. Then she attacked. The entire army was gone. Only I confronted the alien queen in the end part 5, the last stand. The queen moved faster than anything her size should move. Her massive claw swept toward Doyan like a building falling. He jumped to the side. The claw smashed into the ground where he had been standing. Rocks flew everywhere. The impact shook the entire chamber. Doyan ran. He did not try to fight. Not yet. He needed to get closer. He needed to find the right spot. The neural cluster. That was his target. The center of her brain. The source of her power. He had studied Veth anatomy for months. He knew exactly where it was. Behind the eyes. Deep inside her skull. Protected by layers of shell. Getting there would be almost impossible. But almost was not the same as completely. The queen struck again. Another claw. Doyan dodged again, but barely. The edge of the claw caught his shoulder. Pain exploded through his arm. Blood flowed. He ignored it. He pulled out his pistol. 3 shots. He aimed for her eyes. Not to kill her, just to distract her. Bang. Bang. 2 shots missed. 1 hit. A red eye exploded. The queen screamed. The sound filled Doyan's mind like fire. He fell to his knees. His head felt like it would split open. But the distraction worked. For a few seconds, the queen was blind with rage and pain. Doyan ran toward her. He used the grenades. One at her base to create confusion. One at her middle legs to slow her movement. One at her face to force her to lower her head. The explosions were loud. Smoke filled the air. The queen thrashed in anger, and Doyan climbed. He grabbed onto her shell. His fingers found gaps between the plates. He pulled himself up. 1 meter. 2 meters. 3 meters. His broken shoulders screamed with every movement. His muscles burned. His lungs ached. The queen felt him. She tried to shake him off. She smashed against the walls. She rolled. She clawed at her own body, trying to reach him. Doyan held on. He would not let go. He could not let go. Before leaving Hope's Ridge, he had injected himself with a modified version of the immunity serum. It gave him resistance to the queen's mental attacks. Not forever. Just minutes. Maybe 15 minutes if he was lucky. His luck was running out. The Queen's voice hammered at his mind. Die. Stop. Fall. Die. Die. He felt his grip weakening. His will crumbling? It would be so easy to let go. To fall. To sleep forever? Then he thought of Giwan. Come back, his friend had said. Just come back. He thought of Somi young, scared but still fighting. He thought of Captain Yuna, standing strong when everyone else was breaking. He thought of his sister. Waiting for him on Earth? Believing he would come home? No, he would not die here. He would not fail them. Do-Yan climbed higher. His fingers were bleeding. His nails were torn. But he kept climbing. The Queen caught him. Her small manipulator arms, the ones she used for delicate work, grabbed his legs. They pulled. His grip slipped. He had one chance. He took out his knife. He stabbed it into the gap between her shell plates. It went deep. The Queen screamed again. Her grip loosened for just a moment. That moment was enough. Do-Yan pulled himself up to her head. He could see it now. A soft spot behind her remaining eyes. The neural cluster was there. Just beneath the surface, the Queen realized what he was doing. She thrashed wildly. Her mental attacks doubled, tripled. Do-Yan felt blood running from his nose, from his ears. His brain was being crushed by her will. He reached into his medical bag. His fingers found the syringe, the special one, the one he had prepared just for her. The Queen's voice was everywhere now. Inside him, around him, consuming him. Why won't you die? Do-Yan smiled. It was a bloody, broken smile. Told you, he whispered. We don't quit. He drove the syringe into the soft spot. He pushed the plunger all the way down. Every drop of the modified adrenaline compound entered her brain. For a moment, nothing happened. The Queen stopped moving. Her eyes, the ones that remained, looked at Do-Yan. He saw something in them. Confusion, fear, understanding. Then she convulsed. Her body shook violently. Her legs gave out. She crashed to the ground. Do-Yan was thrown off. He hit the floor hard. Bones cracked. Pain everywhere. But he was alive. And she was dying. The Queen's screams filled the chamber, filled the tunnels, filled the entire planet. Every Veth connected to her felt her death. They felt her mind breaking apart, and then silence. Complete silence. The Queen stopped moving. Her body lay still. Her eyes went dark. Across the planet, every single Veth collapsed. In the tunnels, on the surface, at Hope's Ridge, they all fell at the same moment. The hive mind was gone. The connection was severed. They were dead. All of them. Because of one man? One human who refused to give up. Do-Yan lay on the floor of the Queen's chamber. He could not move. His arm was shattered. His ribs were broken. He was bleeding from places he could not count. But he smiled. He had done it. Against all odds. Against impossible enemies. Against certain death, he had won. His hand found the lighter in his pocket. Juan's lighter. He held it tightly. I told you, he whispered to no one. I told you I would bring it back. Then darkness took him. 3 weeks passed. Rescue ships finally arrived at Karis 4. They had fought through Veth forces in other systems. They had expected to find everyone dead. Instead, they found survivors. 847 soldiers remained at Hope's Ridge. Captain Yuna was among them. Badly wounded from the diversionary attack, but alive. Giwan had held the medical station during the siege. Somi had never stopped monitoring communications. When the rescue ships arrived, she was the first to make contact. The rescue team found Do-Yan in the Queen's chamber. He was unconscious, barely breathing, curled around an empty syringe. They thought he was dead at first. But his heart was still beating. Faintly, stubbornly, they carried him out. They put him in the best medical pod they had. They flew him back to Earth. He woke up 6 months later. The room was white, clean, quiet. Machines beeped softly around him. Sunlight came through a window. Real sunlight. Earth's sunlight, someone was holding his hand. He turned his head. It hurt, but he turned it anyway. His sister sat beside his bed. She was crying, but she was smiling too. "You're awake," she said. Her voice was shaky. "You are finally awake. How long?" asked. His voice was rough, dry. 6 months. They did not know if you would wake up. They said your brain was damaged. But I knew. I knew you would come back. Doyen looked at the ceiling. Thoughts moved slowly through his damaged mind. Memories, faces, the Queen, the tunnels, his team, all dead. The others? He asked. 847 survivors. They are calling it a miracle. Not a miracle, Doyen thought. Just stubborn humans refusing to die. His sister squeezed his hand. You are famous now. They call you the Queenslayer. There are statues, memorials. Everyone knows your name.
Oh.
Doyen closed his eyes. He thought about the 40,000 soldiers who had landed on Carisfor. He thought about the 13,900 who had died. He thought about the 12 who had followed him into the hive. Famous, the word felt hollow. I am just a medic, he said quietly. His sister did not argue. She just held his hand and let him rest. Weeks later, when he could finally stand, they held a ceremony. The Medal of Terra, the highest honor any human could receive. They pinned it on his chest while thousands watched. Captain Yuna was there, in a wheelchair, but smiling. Jiwan was there too, standing straight despite his limp. Somi stood beside them, no longer the scared young soldier she had been. The president made a speech. Words about bravery, sacrifice, humanity's spirit. Doyen did not really listen. He was thinking about the faces he could not see. The soldiers who should have been there. The team that had followed him into darkness and never came out. When it was his turn to speak, he said only a few words. I did not do this alone. I am here because of everyone who fought beside me. Everyone who died so I could live. This medal belongs to them. To all of them. He touched the medal on his chest. It was heavy. Heavier than it should have been. But he stood straight. Not for himself. For them. For the 7th Division. For his team. For every soldier who had refused to give up for humanity. Later that night, in his hospital room, Doyen sat by the window. He looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, Carisfor was still orbiting its distant sun. The tunnels were still there. The Queen's body was still there. A reminder of what had happened. Giwan's lighter was in his hand. He flicked it. A small flame appeared. Juan had visited earlier that day. Doyen had tried to return the lighter. Keep it, Guan had said. It is your lucky lighter now. You earned it. Doyen watched the flame dance. Such a small thing. Such a simple thing. But it had traveled with him through hell and back. Just like his hope. Just like his will, he closed the lighter. He put it in his pocket, and he looked at the stars one more time. Somewhere out there, new threats waited. New battles. New, impossible odds. But humanity would face them. They always did. Not because they were the strongest. Not because they were the smartest. But because they simply refused to give up, and Kong Doyen, the medic from Busan who had killed a queen, would be ready, because that was what humans did. They survived. They fought. They won. No matter what. The end.